Okay, dokie, people.
What's happening?
How we doing?
How we feeling?
How we living? Hopefully you're having a fantastic end of your weekend. Yes.
I know you are.
Unfortunately, all good things come to an end. You know, I would argue that Sunday night is actually worse than Monday morning. I don't know. Do you feel the same way? Like Sunday night, because there's like a countdown on your freedom almost.
Sure. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel that way anymore because we kind of do our own thing.
Sure.
And I'm not like reporting to my boss and saying, I'm so sorry that I'm late, or I'm not 100% this week, or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying, but yes, I do get what you're saying.
Yeah. For me, it's just like, all right, when do I have to see this guy? It's like, it's a countdown. It's like, all right, so now I 12 hours I have to see Badaki. So that's kind of
I imagine like the people that are actually going into the office, like, fuck, I have to go and like sit in my cubicle and like smile at everyone that I actually don't want to talk to anymore.
Those people have a stable job, a stable income.
Shout out to them.
And we do not.
Shout out to stability.
They figured something out. That's for damn sure. Wow. What's up, people? Welcome in. Hopefully you are having a good weekend. What's up, Albert? We see you. I see you, Scribbles. Welcome in. Let us know who we're hanging out with. Do us a favor. Hit that like button as the stream is starting. We're hyped to be with you here on this Sunday night. And yes, while work may come tomorrow for a lot of you, let's take advantage. Let's soak in these last couple hours that we have to talk fantasy football. And it's not as if, you don't get to talk football during the week. It's just, you're not as free. What's up, Sparrow? Welcome in. What's up, Lloyd? Welcome in.
How we feeling?
We appreciate y'all big time. We will be reviewing someone's Dynasty team at the end of today's stream, but we will start it off with a Dynasty startup mock draft. It is startup season, and we will be diving head in to mock draft season. But we started off the stream last week with Would You Rather. I would love a graphic for that, actually. Like every time we go into it, I just push a little button and it goes, Would you rather? That could be cool if we could figure out a way to do that. Or maybe even like there's a border. That could be cool. Just like a simple border. But we're going to do that again here. Would you rather? You guys tell us what your opinion is. But essentially what we do is we go to the community rankings on the Flock Fantasy website. And every time you do, it'll ask you a question. And this question is helping shape the community rankings. So every time you guys answer a question, you are helping improve the community rankings. We did this last week. We're going to continue to do it. Dynasty Superflex League. Who would you rather have, Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott? Who would you rather, Badaki?
For me, that's easy. That's Brock Purdy. No question about it.
That's fair.
The younger player, love the offense. I think these guys are really close in the community regardless.
Yeah.
But for me, it's easily Brock Purdy.
Yeah, you got Dak last year, who finishes a quarterback 3, averaged around almost 21 points per game. You got Brock Purdy, who finishes a quarterback 6, 19 points per game. Dak might have a higher, range of outcome right now, but you could say that Purdy is a safer play in that offense with all those weapons, whereas Dak is kind of relying on CD. If CD goes down, Dak is going to be not limited, but I mean, that guy is maybe going to get 200 targets if he's healthy this year.
Yep.
So very close, but I think in a dynasty league, not that Dak is old by any means, but just both of these guys are fantastic. I do think age plays a small factor, so I would go Brock Purdy as well. The community, by the way, we got Chris saying Dak, and he was the only one who answered. But let's go to the next one. Kendre Miller or Chris Godwin. Kendre Miller or Chris Godwin in a super flex league.
This is phenomenal. I think this is a great question. I think this is the first time I might be stumped here because I am not a huge believer anymore in Chris Godwin, and I'm not massive believer in Kendre Miller at the moment.
Come on,
but
bro.
if I had to go with the youth and the reset, me 22 years old, second round draft cap, or round 3 draft cap, and I'm gonna go Kendre here.
All right, you're going Kendre. Very close. The whole situation with Alvin Kamara right now is interesting because he is not with the team. He is holding out. He wants a contract extension. Do you know how ridiculous? Like, sorry.
What's his contract? Right
Like,
now?
that is absolutely ridiculous. Because he was one of the most inefficient running backs in all of college football last year. Like, as a rusher, he was very good as a receiver. But as a rusher, he was one of the worst rushers in the league. And this guy is the second highest paid running back. I'm sorry, does anyone here actually think he's the second best running back in the NFL today? Not even close. He's not even close to the second best running back. He's making $15 million. Only one other guy is hitting that mark. So I don't think this doesn't feel like 4 years ago or whenever it was where Kamara was holding out and he was like one of the best running backs in the NFL. He held out. They gave him that big extension. This does not feel like that. I don't think you have the same leverage whatsoever. So we are like a single report of the Saints are moving on from Alvin Kamara or something like that from Kendra spiking into like easily the top 20. Whereas Chris Godwin, his range of outcome is like, look, if you're in like a start 11 and you need a flex, he's fine. But it's going to be, if Alvin does move on, it's going to be harder to find a guy like Kendra than a guy like Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. So I do think I lean Kendra Miller there as well. I know a lot of people might disagree with us. Yes, Chris Godwin's going back into the slot, but they also just drafted Jalen McMillan, who they're saying can play all over the field. And I get it because I saw that too. I just thought he might be featured in the slot. So interesting. The community says Kendra. Rioza says Kendra. We got a lot of people going Kendra. Mystic says he'd go Godwin. Okay. Chris says Godwin. Kendra may be a bust. I mean, let's give him a chance to play, you know.
I would say this. If he doesn't play this year a significant amount, I'm concerned. That's what I would say. I don't see if...
Oh, yeah. I'm projecting him to have a much larger role this year.
Yeah, and if that is not the case, then I might be like, okay, I'm giving up on this.
I think that's very team dependent, but I'll go Kendra. All right, Dynasty Superflex League. This is actually very easy for me, but I'll give it to you first. I'll give you the floor first.
For me, this would be Jared Goff.
Yeah, not even close.
In the Superflex League.
Yeah. You know, incredible year last year. Great weapons around him. Gets a contract extension. Superflex League. This isn't even close.
Don't overthink it.
And let's do one last one for today. Michael Penix or Cooper Kupp. Now, I have been the resident Michael Penix guy, truther. You know, I've been in his corner, if you will, this offseason. And this is very easily Michael Penix for me. I do think Cooper Kupp's going to have a good year. But if you have Cooper Kupp right now, you're thinking like, maybe I can squeeze 2 years. I'm not even sure this year he'll stay healthy, considering the last 2 years he hasn't been healthy. So for me, this is easily Penix. You put him on your taxi squad, and you know at some point he's probably going to start for a team that has great weaponry around him.
Yeah, I mean, it's Michael Penix as well. As much as I think you can still get him cheaper, but Cooper Kupp, I think his value is going to decrease if he is not the guy or near the wide receiver we hope him to be, with, you know, Matthew Stafford here and Puka Nacua. So Michael Penix is the future when you think of a dynasty startup here. So I think the value is great compared to Cooper Kupp currently right now.
Yeah, pretty much everyone is saying Michael Penix, so they're all on the same page here. Hey, you guys, if you enjoy doing this with us, you can do it on your own time. All you got to do is go to the Flock Fantasy website, go to rankings. Anytime you click on a tab, Superflex, One Quarterback, or Best Ball, it'll prompt you with a question, and that helps improve our rankings when you put in those data points. But we are going to be doing a Dynasty Superflex startup mock draft. Thank you so much for joining us. Do us a massive favor and smash that like button. We got a like goal today of 75 likes. I think with your help, guys, we can get there together. But let's say someone out there is watching, Little Timmy. Let's say Little Timmy's out there watching. All right.
It's not Little Timmy.
And it's Father's Day, and Little Timmy's father ain't around. By the way, shout out to you. Happy Father's Day, okay?
Appreciate it.
Father's not around, but he's like, I'm trying to get into a mock draft. I want to have some fun, even though my dad decided not to stay around. What a weird way to get into this. But how can someone join us in today's mock draft?
Oh, wow. Guys, join our Discord. We do have a little bit of a change up here. Normally you will go to the Fantasyland tab, which you still do. Go to the Fantasyland tab, but now it's under announcements, not content releases. Content releases is no longer there. We're going to be releasing each and every mock draft under announcements. So once again, we join our Discord, link in the description. Go to the Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs, and then announcements is where you are going to be seeing this mock draft link from now on here.
Yep.
And
just a small switch up. It's the same spot, just a different name.
Yeah.
And just any announcements, we thought let's just put everything in one little thing. But
yeah, and I'll go ahead and send that link out here. And I'm also going to tag the rest of the community. 3, 2, 1. That link has been sent.
All right, so that is first come, first serve. By the way, happy Father's Day, first Father's Day. It's America and Australia have different Father's Days.
Yes, America and Australia has different Father's Day. Ellen doesn't count it, and I'm upset.
Damn, you want to get because it's the same. Mother's Day is the same, right?
Yeah, Mother's Day is the same, but Father's Day is different. Father's Day over here is like in September.
So double dipping, she doesn't want to double dip.
Yeah, she doesn't want to double dip. I should be getting 2 gifts. You know damn well, if it was a Mother's Day different in Australia or wherever else, you'd be getting 2 Mother's Day gifts. But hey, what do I know?
Call her out. Call her out.
Call her out.
We do have quite a few spots available, which is rare. These things typically fill up very quickly. Maybe everyone's going to the wrong channel. So let me tag them one more time. Just say mock draft here, so everyone knows what's up. But
yeah, it's a little bit different here now. Once again, a little bit of a
little
switch
adjustment
up here.
Oh, someone said it's full. Okay, that's just not showing on my side. Okay, it is full. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing with me as well.
Okay,
I had yeah, I saw like 4 spots that were open, and I had to refresh. So,
all right. So this is a Superflex PPR tight end premium 3rd round reversal startup draft. Let's get this thing going here in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna pull up my rankings on the site so I can see what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, man.
So Josh Allen goes at the 101. We had someone comment on Josh Allen recently, saying basically, along the lines of, I don't understand why Josh Allen is going at the 101, considering he just lost Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs, yeah.
And, it's a fair question. Stephon Diggs has been a high-profile player at his position, has helped Josh Allen for a long time. But we have, anytime you have like a 1-year sample size, you're like, all right, I could see that, regressing, excuse me. Anytime you have like a 4 or 5 year sample size, I know it was with Stephon Diggs, I think there's enough safety there to just be like, yeah, Josh Allen is going to be a really good fantasy quarterback regardless. I mean, in the last 4 years, he's averaged over 24 fantasy points per game, and a lot of it has to do with what he does on the ground. I mean, last year alone, did he have 15 rushing touchdowns? Is that right? Something ridiculous like that?
15 rushing touchdowns he had last year.
So, I personally, I feel like there is enough security. And when the offense changed with the new offense coordinator, he was still great. I'm going to take CJ Stroud there at the 104.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good value here. So 4 quarterbacks off the board at the moment.
Brizzleton says, Happy Father's Day to you.
Appreciate you, Brizzleton.
Lloyd says he's too slow. That's all right. There'll be more opportunities to get into a mock draft. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Do you worry about regression to the mean with Allen, though? I guess like to the mean is per each player. And to the mean for Josh Allen over the past 4 years has been over like 23 points per game. Sure, I mean, maybe he comes down to like over 22 points per game. But no, it's not all that concerning to me. I would be open to trading him. We had someone in our DMs who sent us a DM and basically was like, hey, I have an idea to tear down from Josh Allen to get Kyler Murray. What do you think you get in return? And we basically said, like, aim for like 3 first-round picks in that category. You don't want those all to be late, but if you get somewhere around 3 first-round picks, he was able to get a deal like that done. Kyler, 3 first-round picks, totally something like that is not a bad idea at all. But I don't think anyone needs to like panic necessarily with him.
Yeah, I don't think anyone needs to panic there. I completely agree. No one needs to panic. I'm on the clock here at the 109, and my wide receiver 1 is there.
Yep.
And I'm going to take him. CeeDee Lamb there.
I thought year 1 was Chase.
In Dynasty, I have CeeDee Lamb.
Oh,
Am
okay.
am I wrong here? I definitely have CeeDee Lamb. I think it was Chase. It's always been Chase in redraft, if I'm not mistaken. No, it hasn't. That's a lie. It hasn't been Chase in redraft. I don't
Because
know
we've had
what.
arguments around Jefferson and Chase for a while, and I felt like Chase was your one.
Chase was my one, but CeeDee Lamb is my one now.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
think I think we
Lamb
said
is
that.
also my one,
Yeah, I think we said
but
that. I think I've said that before. I think Jamar Chase is my two, which he
okay.
was my one before this CeeDee Lamb year this year. If that
Okay.
makes any sense.
No, that's fair. I mean, Lamb is also my wide receiver one. I think he's done more than earn it. He's averaged more points per game than Jamar Chase ever has this year. I'm pretty sure than Justin Jefferson's ever had in a single season. So he's well deserving of it. And the people who think he isn't deserving of it, I don't understand what more they want to see from the guy. I
Yeah.
don't think there's a guy set up to repeat his last season better than CeeDee Lamb this year with what's around him. But we got Caleb Williams going off the board next, then Anthony Richardson at the back half of the first, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Amon-Ra, and Kyler Murray all off the board here. And now Badaki's on the clock with the 204. No quarterback yet. What are you thinking?
I am on the clock. I want to try something different here,
Okay.
and I want to see which quarterback is going to fall to me. So I'm going to change things up. Oh, should I take him? I'm contemplating between a running back and a wide receiver, and I'm going to take the wide receiver. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison right now.
All right, so you start CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's be honest, we all like a sexy wide receiver room in a Dynasty Superflex league. Any Dynasty league, like it's like one of those things you're proud of. You know, you'll show it to your friends, like, dude, look at this wide receiver room.
Hey, you want to see this? You want to see this wide receiver room?
incredible.
Come check this out. Check this out, man.
Yeah, he's like, look at this memorabilia I bought of my favorite player, you know, Ray Rice or
Why
something, and you're like,
is it-
that's cool, man. But check out this Dynasty team. Everyone loves wide receivers, so it makes sense. Bijan going at the 205. That doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen very often that Marvin or Bijan are.
I was
there.
contemplating taking Bijan there because I get my wide receiver one and the RB one. I was like, oh, but I want to get my wide. I want to fix my wide receiver room personally.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson at the 206. After Marvin, Bijan all off the board. Then Jaden Daniels at the 207. I'm annoyed that he goes there because I was definitely hoping to get him this round. I've said this many times. I will continue to say it. I think he's just as deserving as being a back end of the first round pick as Anthony Richardson is. But I get why there's a difference in their value. I just think Jaden Daniels can break fantasy just like A-Rich can. So I'm on the clock here. Lots of really good options. And we are going to go ahead. Ooh, are we? Haha. Oh, geez, this is tough. We're gonna grab Malik Neighbors here at the 209. We're gonna grab Malik, if you will. AJ Brown was there, which would have been a fine pick. A couple of running backs I was looking at, but I just have a fundamental issue building around the running back position in a startup. So
Fundamental issue. But if Bijan Robinson was there, you got to take him.
oh yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, look, we're only like one or two players away from being selected from me going running back best available, so I don't think it's crazy. Yeah. But that was a conversation you and I had most of the offseason where it was like, all right, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, or the 104, which was Malik Neighbors, pretty much consensus at that point. And every time we were like, I think we're taking the 104. I think we're going to build around the wide receiver. These running backs aren't incredible. Just those are the names we want to build around. And look at the jump for Trevor Lawrence in ADP. Trevor Lawrence, widely available in the 4th round before this contract. I've been on the book saying I think he gets a contract. I don't see how they don't extend him. They ultimately do. Now he jumps pretty much 2 rounds. I mean, you could comfortably get him in the 4th round, which was a value. Now if he's going to end up in the 2nd, might be difficult to get your hands on some Trevor Lawrence, but people like that security. AJ Brown at the 211. which was a really good option. If I didn't have Malik Neighbors there, I probably wouldn't AJ Brown. And let's see the next one here.
Third round reversal here. So you get AJ Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then Breece Hall.
Liam says, what are your realistic floor/ceiling projections for Neighbors in 2024 alone? Can I tell you guys something? We have like the draft guide we're gonna release here soon for our redraft league. You'll see my projections in detail. I will tell you where I think every single target, every single yard is coming from every single team. So if you want to know my projections for Bijan, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jahmyr Gibbs, any player, you want to know exactly what I'm projecting for them to do this year. As long as you're a member on the Flock Fantasy website with the promo code LAND, you're going to be able to see all of that in detail, and it will constantly update throughout the offseason as we get closer and closer to the season. Yeah. But I can tell you right now, I have Malik Neighbors in my projections. Let me pull them up. I know I have him inside my top 20 of redraft leagues. I have him as my wide receiver 18. And I don't think the target's going to be the best targets in the league by far. But I do think, even more than Marvin Harrison, like this dude is set up to absolutely dominate target share. If you look at this offense, outside of Malik Neighbors, Darren Waller's gone. Saquon Barkley is gone. You got Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger at tight end. Are either of those guys going to get more than 60 targets? I don't know. Wan'Dale Robinson, can he even stay healthy? I don't know the answer to that.
I know. Yes, he can.
You got Devin Singletary. I've got Malik Neighbors at 27% of the target share. So while it might not be very good targets, it is, in my opinion, the volume is just insane. Wow, I'm kind of surprised that like some of the wide receivers that are still available in round 3. But I am looking at the board. I see Team 1 and Team 2 don't have a quarterback yet.
Be careful.
I don't want to wait until they come back around. So I think Dak Prescott is actually a huge value in the 3rd round. I'm not going to lie. I love Purdy in the 3rd too. I think you got bailed out a little bit with Purdy in the 3rd.
Yeah, I did, and that's why I wanted to see who was gonna fall to me there, because I was hoping, I was actually gonna be happy with Purdy, Dak Prescott, or maybe even some of these other quarterbacks that are still available. I thought there was gonna be a run of quarterbacks here, because it is a 3rd round. It was a 3rd round reversal, so I didn't think those guys. I thought these guys were gonna take quarterbacks instead of these players, but they would have rather waited, which kind of worked out for them regardless.
Sure. I Walk Alone says, Badaki, how did you love QJ but hate Keon? I'm going to let you answer this, but one thing that a lot of people don't understand about what we're doing here is every year we are trying to get better at what we do, okay? So think about a craft that you're obsessed with, your favorite hobby that you constantly research, you constantly try and find ways to get better at that craft, right? Whatever that is in your life, Dynasty and fantasy football has been that for us for 5-10 years, okay? And even myself, I'll call myself out. Guess what? I loved Treylon Burks when he came into the NFL draft. I loved his profile. I didn't think of course I knew he was a boom bust player, but I just thought he was going to be really good. I loved that he was stepping into a situation with no one around him. It didn't work out. Now, I got better as a scout from that year to this year. And as you get into a hobby, as you get into something that you're really passionate about, hopefully your goal is not to be perfect, is to hit more than you miss, but more importantly is to get better and better every year. So I am going to let Badaki answer this. He takes a lot of heat over Quentin Johnston, but even for myself, I missed on Treylon Burks, but I am getting better and better as a scout, and the results are showing each and every year. I guarantee you, if I was who I was today and I re-looked at that class back, was that 2021 or 22? I think it was 22. I guarantee you Treylon Burks would have not been someone I would have drafted based off his ADP. So I'll let you answer the question, but I just want people to remember that we're never going to claim perfection on this channel. Our goal is just to constantly try and get better and better and better at what we do. But I'm going to make my pick, and then I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, go for it.
I got ET in there on the board. I don't really want to go running back here. I got a lot of wide receivers available to me. And we're going to grab Man, I feel like Devonta Smith is the safest play there. I'll grab him there at the 404. Sorry. So
Oh, okay.
someone wanted to ask you that.
Yeah,
How did
no,
you love
that's
QJ
fine.
and not Keon?
I mean, look, I think you have to understand at the time I love QJ because of his size, his athleticism. I guess like before, let's just say before the combine, right? Because when I looked at, you have to think about it before combine and after combine, and then we can have the conversation. So before the combine, I love QJ and what he did on the fields, how he was getting a lot of the workload in TCU, how he was being utilized everywhere on the field, especially in the slot. And he was a big body at the time. I guess before the scouting, he was like a 6'4" wide receiver that was hypothetically, once again, at the time running a low fourth, a high 4.3. That's what all the whole conversation. This big body wide receiver, the size of Devontae Adams, that can run in the high 4.3s, which was really exciting. At the NFL Combine, that does change. He was like 6'3". He runs a little bit slower. I still loved his production, especially in the national championship game against Michigan. I mean, the guy goes for like 160 something yards, right? I mean, I think it was the national championship.
That wasn't the national
The
championship. That
it
was
wasn't. It was
semifinal.
the semifinals exactly.
And I don't know that he ran at the combine. Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did.
I thought that was his pro day.
I think he ran. Maybe it was his pro day. I'm on the clock here now. Give me a second. I'll continue what I was saying here.
I think it was pro day, but
I'm gonna go tank here. Tank Dell. And obviously those things change. I love the landing spot. He lands with Justin Herbert. Now, obviously that didn't pan out. Now for Keon Coleman, off the rip, the things that are different between Keon. Now, first of all, Keon Coleman. Did I like what he's done on film? I think he was a productive wide receiver, but he wasn't somebody that was winning significantly on his routes from what I saw compared to Quinton at the time. I see Keon Coleman, and I've always said this. I see just a big body wide receiver, a Gabe Davis-esque, and I'm comparing it to Gabe Davis because of the team that he's on. Keon Coleman wasn't a guy that was demanding all these targets, and Quinton wasn't demanding 6 to 7 targets a game. I think I just saw a better overall route tree from Quinton. I saw the separation at times from Quinton. I saw what I loved in all the wide receivers that I like. Keon Coleman doesn't bring that, right? Keon Coleman doesn't bring the separation. Keon Coleman doesn't win on his routes. Keon Coleman wins with his physicality, and that can only get you so far. And I also, once again, love that Quinton can play in the slot. Keon Coleman doesn't bring those elements to his game. I'm on the clock here again.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. Like, I don't actually, just personally, I don't see a ton of similarities in Quinton and Keon's game. I actually think they're almost like, in a lot of ways, very opposite of each other. They're both big bodies, but a big red flag on Quinton Johnston's game was the drop issues. That's kind of been like the opposite for Keon Coleman. He has been profiled as like this big body guy that, not the best after the catch, very limited, but very strong, reliable hands, contested catcher type of player. I compared him a little bit to Kenny Golladay. With Quinton Johnston, we loved I'll just speak for myself. I loved his ability after the catch. That's what I liked about Quinton Johnston. I didn't think he was like the best prospect, but what he did after the catch in the open field was really enticing to me. When it comes to Keon, I don't see anything like that for Keon Coleman. I did not really enjoy what he did after the catch. He was a great punt returner, but his yak game was very limited in my opinion. So I thought there was a lot of differences between those two players personally.
And I think I think you can also compare it right now, right? Like you're looking at it and be like, okay, well, hopefully Keon Coleman can be this guy because Quinton was going into a tougher team with 2 veteran guys, but I agree. I think they're 2 completely different prospects. And in fantasy, I mean, if you think about it, in fantasy, what do you want now? You want guys that are going to be demanding targets or getting the yards after the catch or touchdowns, right? Obviously, of course. And Keon doesn't bring 2 of those things, which is the yards after the catch, and I guess not separation, but because that's not what I said, but you get what I'm saying when it comes down to a prospect. And I think everyone likes different prospects. People love big body wide receivers that can go up and contest the catch. I know there was like a bunch of people coming, I think was it last year, 2 years ago now with A.T. Perry. People loved A.T. Perry because he was a big body wide receiver that can go up and get contested catches. Just depends on the type of prospect wide receiver you like as well. I think that's also pretty fair because a lot of people coming into it, and I think you also have to recognize that. Look at the downfall that we saw from Keon Coleman and how hype he was early in the offseason compared to Quinton. Quinton, he obviously dropped one or two spots, but he wasn't like he didn't fall into the second rounds, and he was one of the top 3 wide receivers to go in the draft compared to Keon Coleman early in the offseason. People were saying he was a top 5 prospect, and then obviously it's a pretty decent class. I mean, to be fair, so those things are comparable. But yeah, there's a lot of different factors for sure.
Sure. Anyway, in short, just understand that we are always trying to get better at what we do, I'd say. And
I still believe.
Yeah, no.
There's a window.
I would let when he says that.
I do joke that, but I will say this. I don't think Quinton's going to be like this guy that I was hoping him to be. But I will say this. I think the situation is still really good. I think there's less pressure on him because they drafted Lam McConkey. And there's already been reports saying Lam McConkey is going to be number 1 wide receiver. So whether Quentin Johnson fails, that's okay. But if he finishes as a top 24 wide receiver, I think that is such a huge boost in his value potentially, depending on how he performs on the field. So I think in my scenario, it's a win-win because everyone already thinks he's shit. And if he is shit, then great. He's shit. We were all on the same page now because we weren't on the same page earlier, and I'm on the same page with you now. Second, if he does win, and he is once again even a top 30 wide receiver, there's a different conversation because now hopefully we can see more production from Quinton.
Last thing I would say on it is they definitely didn't utilize him right. He definitely didn't live up to expectations, but they didn't utilize him right either. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. Jake says, Zach, you got Jaden Daniels or Trevor Lawrence. I got Jaden Daniels pretty comfortably personally. Even if you look at like the next 2 years, like the value of those two guys, Daniels might not be the best quarterback yet in the NFL compared to Trevor Lawrence, but what he can do on the ground, that's the type of player that can break fantasy. Steven donated a super chat, and he said, just drop in to say Happy Father's Day to Badaddy.
Appreciate you, Steven. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. Always been a legend with that.
Yeah. What's up, Proofy? Welcome in. I Walk Alone says, not so much asking to defend the QJ Love, but Keon just seems like a better version of him. And I guess that's probably where we disagree.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of similarities in Quentin out of TCU and Keon out of Florida State, but I can respect it for sure.
Great guy, though.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
Drew says, Brian Thomas Jr. versus Jonathan Brooks versus Brock Bowers in a redraft. Brooks, if you're saying I can just choose one name, but at price, probably Brian, because he is the cheapest of all those names.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would agree. I guess if you're asking like who's gonna have the higher fantasy finish, I would say Jonathan Brooks. So then, yes, I would be taking Brooks in a redraft. Drusif.
Yeah, no worries. I Walk Alone says Mark Ladder with the 0 quarterback strategy, very bold. Yeah, let's see who he's gonna pan up with. I see a lot of people asking about quarterbacks and why they're going so high. I'll just say this:
that I took JJ there.
In a super flex league, it is going to be very difficult for you to win a league without a strong quarterback room. You're going to have the most impressive running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and that can happen. But it's going to be very difficult for you to win a league without very good quarterbacks. And also, we're in a position now where next year's class doesn't look that great. So even if you're like, well, I'm going to do productive struggle or this and that, and I'm going to look at quarterbacks next year, that might not work out for you. So just keep that in mind. I am on the clock here.
You are on the clock. Let's see what
And I was hoping Kyle Pitts was going to come back to me. He doesn't. But that's okay. I'm going to grab a Lad McConkey here at the 604. Way too many rookies on this team, but that's all right. Lad is just the Chargers wide receiver room in general. I think you do have to kind of like make a call on it this year. Lad would be my call. And I get that people are very concerned because the offense is changing. They're going to run the ball a lot, and that is definitely true. But what I would like to remind people is when you're down by 2 touchdowns, your strategy goes out the window. Like, it's not as if the Chargers, just because they got Jim Harbaugh and, you know, not many crazy additions outside of the draft this year, it's not as if they're just going to wake up this year and not be down versus the Chiefs. Not be down, you know, versus whoever they're playing in the AFC, the strongest conference. Like, there is still going to be games where these guys are down, needing to throw the ball. And even on a, like, pass versus run basis, they're still going to be, at minimum, a 50-50, you know, team with the pass and the run. So, I definitely get where people are coming from, but I do think Lad is being undervalued in redraft. Not in Dynasty, but in redraft specifically. We did get a super chat from Matt. Thank you for the donation, man. Appreciate you.
He says, "Sup, fellas, in a 12-team Superflex PPR start 11, I adopted this team, and only assets I have is Purdy, Nix, Chase, Polk, Kincaid, and 225 first. Does trading Chase, Kincaid, Corley for Gale Wilson, Nico, Komet, and a 25 first sound good? Chase, Kincaid, Corley for Gale Wilson, Nico.
Is there a tight end premium in this? But that seems.
I would say off the rip, I don't think so. I think Chase is. A lot of people think Chase is 2 to 3 first. Kincaid is a first alone. Nico is not worth 2 first. Komet is not worth.
Well, you're not getting Nico for 1 first, and you're not getting Garrett Wilson for less than 2 firsts.
Sure.
You're on the clock. I don't mind this deal. I just don't like Komet at all. Like, I'm sorry, I just have no interest in Komet, and I've been very vocal on that. So it is a tight end premium, so that definitely changes things.
What's the premium?
What I would try and do is I would try and counter and move Chase for Garrett Wilson, Nico, and a first, which they might not do actually. But can you get Garrett Wilson and Nico for Chase? Because I would do that. Garrett Wilson and Nico for Chase. You don't get the first and a second. Maybe you could ask for a second, Nico and Garrett Wilson for Chase. Try and keep Kincaid in that league. If you don't have a name like Kincaid in a tight end premium, Komet is certainly not going to help you at all.
I agree. I don't think giving up Kincaid. He's my guy this year, so I think it's a must hold on Kincaid personally. But
so if I receive Chase, I'm going to get Garrett Wilson. I'm going to get Nico. Let's see what the community says, and we'll see what my rankings say. And I said a second, I think, in 25. Let's assume that team's a good team when they're giving you that pick. So yeah, that's what I would like. That kind of deal is what I would be looking to do. These are from my rankings. I'm not sure if the community is like, you're an idiot. Let's find out. But yeah, the community also agrees.
Oh, my rankings say. Go to my rankings.
Your rankings.
Out of curiosity.
Your rankings heavily favor the Garrett Wilson Nico side.
Okay.
So, all around, I think this is a better deal for you. I have just genuinely no interest in Cole Komet. I couldn't be less interested in a tight end. I just think he's way overpriced. And he's going to give you just as much as Dallas Goedert, but for some reason, Dallas Goedert's way less valuable. I don't understand it. So, he's not someone I'm trying to add into a deal right now. So, let us know what you think about that, Matt. But thank you for the donation, man. Appreciate you. Kyron does go at the 6'5". I was really considering him at the 6'4". And I thought to myself, should I grab Kyron here? I know the upside, and then I'll just try and grab Blake Corum later. I decided not to. But we see some running backs off the board in this round. Kyron, Cook, Walker, White, Pacheco, Jacobs. You're on the clock here. No running backs yet, but 4 wide receivers and 2 quarterbacks. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I honestly feel like just want to go for another quarterback, I'll be honest with you. But I'm going to go running back. I'm going to go Trey.
All right, Trey Benson off the board at the 704. Then Bryce Young.
That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Bryce Young. I was upset that I took JJ McCarthy at the 5-4. I'll be honest, because I thought there was going to be a run of quarterbacks potentially.
Yeah.
Or I thought Mark was going to take one. I thought, I thought the 108, 107, 106, the 101 was going to take a quarterback, and I was like, okay, Bryce. Some of these three quarterbacks weren't going to come back to me, and I was going to be left with, a Will Levis or Bo Nix.
I have to say, like, if we can be honest for a second, you wouldn't have traded Bryce Young for like the 204 this year, 203 this year, which is where Trey Benson was going in Superflex drafts. So maybe in hindsight, Bryce Young was a better pick there, but
yeah,
it's tough to read the draft all the time for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of the annoying part. See, now the run of quarterback goes.
Oh no! I was looking at Watson. I was like, "Ooh, that's nice."
Hey, bro, that's what I'm saying. So like, I feel like I should have just taken Bryce and then just got the value at quarterback.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Matt, by the way, said, thanks, guys. Been struggling trying to find the right deal. I don't want to move Chase Kincaid, but I know this team is so far from competing. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of keeping Kincaid and then tearing down at wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think there's a lot of wiggle room in a deal like that. Just commit. You won't find a bigger hater than me.
He just hates him, man. He hates somebody that's paired to a great quarterback.
He might be. He might be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on the clock, and as much as I want to get more wide receivers and running backs, I still think the quarterback position is a huge value here. I'm gonna grab Bo Nix. Bo Nix went in the first round of every single draft you and I were in this year, of a Superflex rookie draft, and for some reason he always falls so far in startups. He might be available in like the 8th round if I didn't draft him here. Like,
people don't like Bo Nix. I really hope my guy goes off here.
Just based off of like purely where he goes in rookie drafts and where he is here, I think this is a huge value. And let's be honest, if Bo Nix hits in his first year, and like Mac Jones hit in his first year, right? Mac Jones was really good in his first year. He wasn't someone you wanted to build around, but you could have sold him after his first year at the right time. So I like Bo. We like Bo on this channel. Let's see. Yeah. I like the risk reward there.
I completely agree.
Matt donated a super chat. Thank you, man. He says 10 team, 1 quarterback, start 8. I traded the 110 and a 26 first for CMC. Just won the chip. Got now Hurts, CMC, Brees, Etienne, St. Brown, Wilson, AJ Brown, Nico, and Laporta. What I will say is, obviously, in a 10 team start 8 for CMC, that's probably the price. Now,
yeah,
it doesn't feel good paying for a guy who's a running back who's 28 years old. He's 28, right? And at least the extension helps. Maybe gives a little more security. Like, well, he got extended, so they're not worried about it.
Okay. I think what's okay with this trade is that you also have Brees and Etienne. So if BMC goes down, at least you have Brees Hall and Travis Etienne there.
Yeah.
Especially in a start 8, which is a really small 1 quarterback league. What's that?
And ideally,
is that your 8?
Ideally, you're at least in like the semifinals each of the next 2 years, meaning that 26 first is at best the 108 in a 10-man. So 2 late, hopefully first for CMC in a competing window. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree.
These
appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much.
As Cooper Kupp comes off the board, everyone's favorite Keon Coleman still available. Just wanted to let that know in case anyone out there wants to draft him. He's still there. He's just waiting on you to show him some love.
He's waiting.
He's waiting with open arms.
Yeah, I got a couple guys that I'm looking after right now. Running backs. Okay.
Oh, that was cool. Did you see Styles was able to reply directly to the super chat in the chat? I didn't know you could.
Fleeced him. I didn't know you can do that. Someone do it again. Someone say fleece him again. I want to see it happen. Someone like this.
All right.
I guess you can comment on it. Yeah, you can click on the comment and then Styles. Yeah, wow.
I like. Oh man.
I like it.
I feel like if I don't go tight end here, Well, just you and Mark need a tight end.
Huge mistake.
But I feel like if I don't go tight end, I'm going to regret it on the comeback. Shout out to Kim K.
Shout out to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, huh? You seen that?
Oh, man. It's a tight end premium. I'll grab George.
George Kittle off of the board here. You're just excited for some football, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Now it's pretty dead with reports. Ain't nothing. Now all the teams are away for like 6 weeks until like the middle of July, and then they have camp. I might go to a camp for the lulz. That might be so boring.
Yeah, that
What a waste of money, actually.
I take Kittle, by the way, in the 8th round. I feel like his age is the only reason people are not drafting him. He's 30 years old, but we've got quite a few tight ends who are playing into their early to mid 30s. I still think Kittle has at least 3 years, and we're talking about a guy in the past. I mean, geez, since 2018, I didn't realize that on a per game basis. Did you realize that? Oh, wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row, he's been a top 6 and top 4 in 5 of those 6 years on a points per game basis. I get it, though. He's old. They added Ricky Pearsall. But in a tight end premium, that feels pretty comfortable. I like the Penix pick. I was really debating on grabbing him, but I already took Bo. Will Levis at the 807. You know, none of this is what Badaki wanted to see, I don't think.
No, not at all. And it's okay. I probably would have panicked picked if I didn't take JJ there. I didn't know. I probably would have took Jonathan Brooks, to be honest with you. Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk is a great pick there. I like that. I also was thinking about Terry and Kirk during my pick as well.
I'll get a stack here.
So
get a
Ricky
stack.
Pearsall comes off the board. Man, as soon as they trade one of those names, it probably isn't this year. But
Probably
as soon as
isn't
they
this
trade one of those names.
But once Debo goes down or somebody goes down, shoot. There goes Keon.
Charlie says, when do you think is the right time to cash in on Tyreek? Well, I'll say this, Charlie. Think about it from this perspective. Tyreek has just had one of his best fantasy seasons ever. He is 30 years old. So if you want to cash in on him, I am very confident in telling you, no matter what he does this year, he will not gain value. There's just not a scenario in which Tyreek Hill gains value being 31 years old next year, even if he finishes top 5 again. So if you're telling me when's the right time to cash in, if you do want to move on from him, he will never be more valuable than he is today. Now, does that mean you have to sell him? No, because if you're a competing team, there's very few wide receivers you'd rather have on your team right now. So, yeah, he'll never be more valuable than he is right now, but that doesn't mean you have to sell him. If that makes sense.
You don't have to sell him, and I personally will be wanting to. I personally would be okay to sell him sooner rather than later. But I think it also depends on your build. You know, are you a win now team? If you're a win now team, you might as well just hold on to him and let him retire on your team. But if you're somebody that's like, okay, like you just won the chip, you don't think your team is going to go all the way anymore because, you know, some of these older players that you have aren't going to be going, you know, playing the same way, then maybe you go ahead and sell Tyreek and maybe get a first for him if you can. Or whatever that looks like, tearing down to some of these players. Tyreek Hill here going at the 3-2. So I think there's some value there for sure.
Yeah, if you could swap it to a London and a Lave, if you get Waddle in a second, you know, some of these kind of things, it makes a lot of sense. A Nico Collins in a second makes a lot of sense. So, but of course, you got to recognize that those players probably aren't giving you the ceiling a Tyreek Hill is this year. But if Drake London has a year we all expect him to, there's just no scenario in which those guys are equivalent in value this time next year. It won't even be close.
Yeah.
David Montgomery
Tell
off
him.
the board.
My guy Monty.
Jamison Williams off the board.
It's cold, man.
Yeah. David Njoku is gone. Man, I really am trying to figure out what these teams beside me are going to do. Let's change it to 30 seconds on the clock, by the way, at this point in the draft.
Yeah. 30 seconds on the clock.
Ryan says, is Hawk a sell or hold? I think he's a hold. He was someone I was trying to sell before his ranking changed. There's a time there where he was a consensus top 3 tight end in Dynasty in this offseason, and I was a strong sell on him then. But I think at this point, he is a difficult sell, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's a difficult sell. I think he's best to hold currently. It's really hard to navigate that injury. I think if you are in a Dynasty startup, you take him as late as you possibly can. In a redraft perspective, I think he's a complete avoid. I'm not drafting TJ Hawkinson anywhere because I don't see him getting onto the field this year, personally. And if he does get onto the field, it's going to be at a point where maybe week 12, week 13, where you're not going to feel confident to start TJ Hawkinson.
I'm going to grab Ramondre in the 9th. I think Ramondre is a replaceable level player, but if they're really going to give him a contract, which they're talking about, then this is going to be a huge value here.
Welcome home.
But it's all about value. Like, I'm not home. I'm not a Stevenson guy. I still think he's super average. But
welcome home.
The thing, it's all about value. If he gets a contract, he's going to go in the 6th round. But right now he's available in the 9th, so of course I'll take him as my RB2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Damn it.
That's what I thought
down
you were
to
going to
ADP. I was going to try and sneak him in the next round.
That's who I thought you were going to take there. I was a little bit surprised.
So annoying. J-Mac don't even need the wide receiver. He needs the running back, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to take Zach's guy here.
You know what, man? You take him.
You sneaky son of a bitch.
There goes Jake Ferguson off the board, Matthew Stafford.
This is it's a start 10, Peter. It's a start 10. So AD Mitchell comes off the board. And freaking J-Mac killing me with that pick.
Yeah. He done did you dirty, didn't he? I might get somebody nasty here. Okay. Okay. Keep coming to me, baby. Excuse me? Shout out to Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Talk about comeback season.
Talk about Did you watch The Boys?
Yes, I've watched the first 3 eps.
I finished the first ep. Well, I didn't. I wasn't able to finish it. I was midway the first episode, then Brooks woke up, so
I'll grab Hollywood Brown here.
Hollywood.
I'm not that excited about Hollywood long term, but I guess I see him as someone who could increase his value during the season, so I'll grab him there at the 1004. Was really hoping Deontay was going to be there. But Corum goes. Selly, this is the problem. This is the right pick probably by Selly, but this is the problem when you grab Kyron. You almost feel like you have to take Blake. So this team probably needed a wide receiver way more than it needed a running back at that pick. But you have to lock up Corum if you got Kyron. Otherwise, you're just so scared. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think that is the hard part when it comes down to like Kelsey going there, the 5'8", which is not a bad pick in tight end premium. like in a tight end premium, it kind of forces that tight end up, which then pushes another position down, and you're like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah,
Christian
that's why I
Watson,
think Kittle is such a value, because obviously we all know what Kelsey's capable in that offense, and he's going to be the better player. But it's not that far off from the last year. But Polk goes, Franklin goes, Watson goes, and now you're on the clock.
Yeah, I was gonna take Christian Watson. I don't have Jalen Reed, but I mean Christian Watson, the value there. I'm going to take a running back. I'm gonna take Wright.
All right, Jalen Wright off the board. So you didn't go quarterback early. We typically try and lock up 2 quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds or 4 rounds. What's the feeling? How you feeling about the team right now?
I would have felt better if I got Bryce Young at the 7-4 and not take JJ McCarthy. If I would have taken George Pickens, Jonathan Brooks,
Yeah.
I mean T Higgins, anyone in that round essentially that's not named JJ McCarthy, I would have felt more,
Sure.
I would have felt confident in then taking Bryce Young at the 7-4.
Yeah.
And then maybe hitting at these running backs. I probably would take Trey Benson and then a Joe Mixon in a win now scenario, or still getting Monty, right? Like still, even if I got Bryce Young there and get Monty and Ryan, I feel comfortable, or hitting a running back at a different point in time. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the risk that you take in these quarterbacks and trying to read the board, and kind of forces you to then either reach a little bit thinking that somebody else is going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, right.
That's why we mock.
Update on our like goal, by the way, which was 75. We are currently at 55, so we're just 20 likes away from that goal. Do us a massive favor. Hit that like button. Obviously, subscribe if you've been a lurker for quite some time. Now's the time to, join the gang. We appreciate you. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Show some love. And yeah. Love the Jermaine Burton pick at the 11-1. That was who I was heavily considering at the 10-04.
I think I'm just going to go another running back.
Style says he sold Ramondre, Michael Mayer in a late first, and a third for Pitts and Keenan in a tight end premium format.
So Ramondre?
I'm fine with that overall. I don't love adding Keenan at this point in his career, especially with the changes in his surroundings, but I think it's overall good value. Marshawn Lloyd, I was hoping he was going to fall to me. I'm not going to lie. I'm very surprised that Booty Clap King didn't go Marshawn Lloyd. I thought for sure Team 12 was going to lock up Marshawn Lloyd there on that turn. Knowing you have Josh Jacobs, a lot of people are a little bit unsure at this point,
I think Josh Jacobs, in like the most respectful way possible, is like the new Dalvin Cook with Alexander Madison. I feel like every single year it was like, if you took Dalvin Cook early in your redraft leagues, you had to get Alexander Madison because you knew he was going to miss time. I feel like it's the same thing with Jonathan Taylor and Marshawn Lloyd. Like, you need to take Marshawn Lloyd, maybe not in a dynasty, but in a redraft perspective, because I just have that feeling he's just going to miss time. You're on the clock here.
I am on the clock here. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to let him fall. Oh, no. I want Wicks here.
Oh,
no way.
The best player on the team.
I'm not letting that happen.
Player. You're kidding me.
I'm not going to let that happen. I refuse to let that happen.
That's terrible.
I'm going to grab Wicks here.
You got to make your pick early, and there's no takesy backsies here.
Hey, when you control the mock, you can do whatever you want. Yell at me.
That's terrible.
Obviously, this is a real draft. I would have just stuck with it and said, all right, my bad. But, yeah, Cole Kmet is definitely not joining my team. I refuse it. I'll leave the league. I'll take Wicks there at the 11:09. Where did the other Packer receivers go? We had Watson at
Christian
the
Watson
10.
at the 10-9 and Jaden Reed at the 6-9.
Jaden Reed at the 6-9. Okay. Sean says, interesting that Xavier went before Rice. Sean, at least from what we've seen in our community and others, it feels like that is consensus right now that Worthy is the more valuable player than Rice. I disagree. I have Rice ahead of Worthy. But, you know, if the Chiefs thought Worthy was worth a first-round pick, I think that's many people's mindsets. Well, Worthy could be the next Tyreek. I don't think he's the next Tyreek. I think he could be the next Hollywood Brown for them. But the thought is that he goes in the first round. You know, they already had Rice on the team. So it is kind of consensus at this point, I think, for Worthy to be ahead of Rice, which I don't think is correct. But
yeah, once again, it all comes down to that suspension and if that's actually even going to be a thing. If he is suspended, then I think that's an easy conversation of taking Xavier over Rice in a Dynasty startup. If there's no suspension, then I think it can then flip-flop because then people feel more confident in Rice and how he finished the season off last year.
All right, I'm on the clock here, and I should probably add a running back here. We'll grab I think we'll grab Eckler, or sorry, I think we'll grab Brian Robinson here is what I meant to say.
Yep. Look at B-Rob.
I just think when they're in the red zone, I think he'll be the dude. You know, thinking about what Cliff did in Arizona, it was a different situation, obviously, but James Conner. It's not like they subbed out James Conner for, you know.
I agree, bro.
They didn't have an Eckler level player, but they put the big body in on the goal line.
Yeah, I don't see Eckler being himself anymore coming into this year. I think he can definitely take some opportunities away from Brian Robinson in the passing game, but I don't think he's going to be significant. More reliever back, which sounds crazy. I think he's more of reliever back for Brian Thomas Jr., a good veteran presence in that room.
Shout out to Brian Thomas.
Brian Robinson, excuse me, that they needed from Austin Eckler there.
I don't see it exactly that way. I do think Eckler's going to play as big of a role. I just think those high value touches in the red zone, I think will go to B-Rob. So that's what makes me lean that way. But
yeah, that's fair.
I do love the D-Hop pick at the 12-6.
Yeah, I had him on my queue. I was ready to take him right there. I'll take my wide receiver 1 though.
Come on. Quentin Johnson does come off the board.
Come on.
And
look at the difference. Keon Coleman at the 8-10, Quentin at the 12-9. Sheesh. It's all left.
Yeah. UT asked you, why did you take Benson over Nix? Has your value of Nix lowered significantly since you were taking him at the 108 in your rookie drafts?
No, I think I panicked there because I was going to take Young. And I got upset that I took JJ McCarthy too early.
So it was a panic pick. He's already, you've already said that you regret the pick, so.
I regretted the pick.
You would probably take Bryce Orbo if you went back and did it again.
Exactly. I'd take Bryce Orbo. So yeah, 1,000%. Damn, Dallas Goedert. I was stretching it there. I didn't think anyone was going to take him.
Great value for Dallas. You keep stretching it too far, around too far for some of these names.
Yeah, I know. This is not the best month for me here, but that's okay.
Jake says, who are you guys both high on in these late rounds? Thanks to Zach, I got a couple Jaden Reed shares at great value. Love to hear that for you. You know, round 10 onwards, I love Wicks if you can get him anywhere like round 11, 12, 13. Dontavion Wicks is a fun play for me. A lot of these running backs like a Lloyd, a Jalen Wright, a Kendre Miller, Blake Corum. Running backs haven't been cheaper than they are like today. And Mark is going to get 4 quarterbacks here. So he's going to lock up the Pittsburgh backfield.
He's just going to lock it up.
Quarterback room as well. And each and every quarterback that goes off the board, I'm sure it's hurting your heart right now. But, you know.
Just stretching it out.
Yeah. I also love Zach Moss as well.
I think there's a ton of phenomenal values
incredible.
Here. Yeah, I think it just depends on your team and your draft strategy, right? Like if you're in a win now perspective, you know, like you said, all these. I think DeAndre Hopkins is great. James Conner is interesting. I like the idea of, you know, the Pollards and the Spears, but in more of a rebuild or more of a, you know, year one. I like the new guys, not the new guys, but yeah, all the new guys. But like Wicks is a good name. I think Jahan Dotson is somebody I'm still trying to draft. Obviously, Quentin Johnson there. You're on the clock here.
Oh shit, am I?
Yeah, 7,
Okay,
6,
I'm
5.
trying to take Jerome Ford. Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, another guy that's great value, Jerome Ford. People still believing in the likes of a Nick Chubb. Where did Nick Chubb go in this mock?
Nick Chubb
Out of
went in the
curiosity.
11th round.
Yeah, I mean, getting Jerome Ford in the 13-9, I think is great value. So there's a bunch of really good names, even names that still haven't gone off the board. I think
Mm.
when these guys kind of go off here, um, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receivers that haven't gone off the board currently that I would say are great values here, and there's only 2 rounds left. Um, so
So we did.
there goes one. And Shakira.
So Shakira is one of them. Okay.
Yeah, I like Shakira here in these late round values. Let's see where
If
else.
Shakira goes there, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, exactly, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I might take a quarterback just to piss you off. I'm kidding. I'm not going to. Oh shit.
You're gonna have to take a quarterback now.
So I have said this many times. It's not anti Keon Coleman, but I've said many times I think Curtis Samuel could be the #1 targeted wide receiver on that team. I'm not sitting here saying that he'll out target everyone on that team. I think Kincaid probably leads the way, but I would not be shocked at all if Curtis leads the way with these wide receivers in the first year of Keon Coleman's career.
That's another wide receiver that I was saying. Curtis Samuel going back with Joe Brady. He was my late round must draft sleepers on the redraft channel. Michael Wilson.
I love that.
There's also another one as a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
I think it's great value as a wide receiver too there for Michael Wilson. I know it's all about the Marvin Harrison Jr. show, but Kyler Murray definitely can support 2 different guys there. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
Style says, do we realistically think Chubb sees the field? I think he does. I just don't like. Okay, so I wholeheartedly believe that if his ACL was a clean tear, I think we would see him much higher in the dynasty value in the dynasty community. But because it was such a nasty injury and it was so public, like wasn't that like a nationally broadcasted game when he tore his ACL like that?
I'm pretty sure it was Sunday night or Monday night week 2. Maybe it was Thursday night. It was like a double header, I think, with Nick Chubb. And he tore his ACL.
And it was disgusting. They were on the broadcast like,
and they're like, "Oh, we're not showing this."
And it is one of those nasty injuries. It is like the J.K. Dobbins nasty ACL, the Javonte nasty ACL. It wasn't like the Breece Hall clean tear, like we also saw with Jonathan Brooks. So I think because of that, he's already an older back, and we don't expect him to be himself until next year. What does that mean with his age? So the reason I took Ford there is because I think there is a chance that Chubb never becomes himself again.
I completely agree. And I think the recent reports think that he did an interview and he didn't seem too confident that he was going to be seeing the field anytime soon.
Yeah.
The fact that he essentially had a whole year and the off season to come back and get into, and do rehab. Think about it. He tore his ACL week 2, right? That's essentially the full year that you typically have for the football season to then go back and rehab. And you hope that he would at least be ready by training camp, or the conversation was like, okay, we got Nick Chubb here in training camp. It's going to be good. Yeah. That's not even the conversation for Nick Chubb.
No. And meanwhile, Jonathan Brooks, who tore his ACL late in the season at Texas, we believe he'll be ready week 1. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be himself week 1, but he'll be slowly worked, and I think he'll be a league winner back half of the season. So how you tear your ACL actually matters a lot. Whereas, like, if you tear your Achilles, it's like, GG's, it's done. But how you tear your ACL is very, very important. So it just wasn't good for him, unfortunately. Style says, I think so too. It was such a serious injury. I know it happened early in the season, but it just feels like he'll be sidelined a while. I can see that.
Shout out to the Jerome Ford believers. Man.
Yeah. No, we like Jerome Ford. You liked him a lot in that draft
love
class.
that kid. He was my RB2 in that draft class, and then he fell.
Well,
and
let's just say, look, in hindsight, that was probably aggressive RB2 in a class that had Brees and Ken Walker. But still,
yeah,
he was a very, very good running back in that class that you and I loved, that we got kind of trashed on when he got round 5 draft capital.
Yeah.
But good player. Usable player. Replaceable, but usable. But
replaceable.
That is the mock draft. We are going to continue to stream. We appreciate you guys for joining us. Do us a massive favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. We're only 14 likes away from 75, which was our like goal coming in. So if you can do us a favor and help us get there, that would be awesome. But to end today's stream, we are going to be reviewing someone's Dynasty team. Now, we're going to go in depth with this team. We're going to give them advice, different moves that they can make, maybe what to do with their draft picks, where they stand in their league. If you want this kind of experience from us, it's very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Y'all know probably at this point what the Flock Fantasy website looks like, but in case you are new here, this is what our website looks like. You've got all the articles, the databases from all the creators on the website. Obviously, you've got our rankings. Very cool feature in the rankings where you can specifically look at players under the age of 25 or over the age of 25 if you're looking for specific players. You've also got access to our trade calculator, the best calculator in the industry. You've got access to our My Teams tab. Now, anyone who signs up from here on out, if you sign up with the promo code LAND and become a Mother Flocker member, we would suggest you choose the yearly option. Now, the reason we do that is because you'll automatically, through the website, be given a team review voucher. So, if you sign up as a yearly person, you can come in here, sync all of the teams that you want us, that you want to look at, and then choose one team that you want to submit for us to review on a live stream. So, let's say it's this team. You can go ahead and click submit for a review and go through that process for us to review your team on a live stream. Previously, we were doing this through Discord. And now we have changed it through the website. So consider signing up if you want to support the channel, and also if you want your Dynasty team reviewed by Badaki and myself. And this will be the last team that we review through our Discord. But if you do sign up, there is, step by step through the roster submissions tab of how to sign up, if that makes sense, how to submit your team. But Nalbers15 is the last team we'll review through the Discord. But by the way, if you sign up as a monthly, DM us, because you won't automatically be given a voucher if you sign up as a monthly. So just DM us if you've done that. But okay, we have a super chat, and then we'll get into this team.
Yeah, Trent, thank you so much for the super chat there. He says, Superflex start 10, 2 running backs, okay. Was offered Hawk for Ingram and Chase Brown. I'm contending. What do you think? He was offered...
No, I keep Hawkinson.
Yeah.
No, that needs to be someone other than Chase Brown.
Yeah, I think so as well. He was offered Hawkinson.
Like Zamir White, absolutely. Joe Mixon, absolutely. I
would say this: if you're, I don't know. I think if you're contending, I don't want TJ Hawkinson this year.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna down tier that significantly.
I agree.
I mean, TJ Hawkinson is still just about to be 27 years old. His lifespan is so long in this league. So
he said I was offered Hawkinson. He was offered. You were offered.
I would be open to taking the Hawkinson side of that deal then.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And if you can, go out and get a vet tight end as well. If you can go buy like a Dallas Goedert for cheap. I think you're muted.
Sorry, hold on. Ellen's talking.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I think that's a good buy on Hawkinson. Earlier in the offseason, his price was too high. He was a sell, but this is playing the market. Now I think that's a good buy.
Sorry, I have to help Ellen with something. Just go ahead and go for it.
That's okay.
I'll be back.
So let's see what the chat thinks as well. Why don't you guys tell us in the chat which side you would select? But for me, I think that's a good buy on Hawkinson. and I do love Ingram. I just don't think Chase Brown is really. Well, I know there's a lot of Chase Brown people out there. I'm not someone who thinks he's gonna like beat out Zach Moss and be the clear dude, which I'll be happy to say I'm wrong if I was. But let me tag Nalbers in Labors on Discord so he knows that we are reviewing his team. I swear I already had Discord open. Let's see. But everyone's saying Hawk side. Style says, yep, would take Hawk pretty easily. Like you said, Zach, just buy a tight end in the meantime. Yeah. And here's the thing, like when Hawkinson is back and playing, you won't be able to buy him for that price. Like unquestionably, no matter what you think about TJ Hawkinson, when he is back and playing, there is no way you're getting him this cheap. I think we'd all agree on that, but I could be wrong. I'm just going to let him know. We're reviewing your team now on stream. Okay. So, this team that we are looking at here.
I'm back, by the way.
That's okay. Welcome back. Says Addy the Baddie is the team name. Why don't you read this context for us then?
All right, Addy the Baddie, appreciate you. 12 team, half PPR, non-tight and premium Superflex. It's a start 9. He kind of broke it down there for us. Excuse me. Looks like he already had his rookie draft on June the 1st. You have all these rookie picks. He says running backs are tough but easy. Easiest position to trade for / take shots at. So curious your thoughts. Saving my 25 first for a running back. Couple questions.
Let's look at those questions after we look at the team, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
But
so it looks like
update his rookie
updated.
Yeah.
So he took Jaden Daniels. He got Trey Benson at the 203. Traded the 209, 308, and the 403 for the 210, which was Marshawn Lloyd, and the 211, which is Xavier Legette.
Huge W.
I like that. You got Jalen Wright at the 303 here.
Yeah, you killed that draft. So first off, really well done.
And Nate's here as well. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Nate says he's here, which is cool.
Okay.
First things first. Killed the draft. Did really well. So. Good job with that, because I think at every pick you got good value. You viewed your pick as an asset at the 209 and ended up trading it for 2 more valuable assets. Still got Jalen Wright at the 303, Benson at the 203. I think you did really, really well.
Yes, I think so as well here.
Unfortunately, we can't look at your team through the Flock Fantasy website just because you have to submit it through the site, but we'll still look at it through KTC.
Yeah. Exactly here. And looking at this team in this league, once again, the start 9 Superflex, start 9, 12 team, and it looks like according to Keep Trade Cut, your ranks 8th.
Yes.
According to the community right now. And looking at the rest of the team here, Jalen Hurts with Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford. I say the quarterback room is set now with that Jaden Daniels pick, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a great group of 3. I think if you need drop candidates, Mac Jones instantly comes to mind. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Even if Watson goes down, DTR won't play.
Yeah, exactly. So I completely agree. Their running back is Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright, and then the list kind of goes on there. So you have your 3 rookie guys that are more futuristic type of picks here, and you're still going to be getting a running back, at least what you kind of said, saving me your 25 first for a running back in 2025, which is fair. And you have the ability to start up to 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers, and 1 flex, especially in a 12-man league in a full PPR. Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. And Jaden Reed would be your 4 wide receivers, technically 5, with Xavier to get there, and the list kind of goes on. So I think you have a good foundation, good young foundation here, especially
this team is
at the
better
wide receiver
than 8th
room.
Overall. It's probably.
I think so as well.
It's probably just this league is very balanced.
Yeah, and then obviously the tight end position with Jake Ferguson. So I think you have all the right pieces in front of you. You have everything that you need to do to go out and not even to just, I guess, boost yourself up and know what to do here, especially with your 25 first. It looks like you don't have your 25 second, but you do have your first round of 25, your first and 26. Oh, you do have your 25 second, sorry. And your first and 26 here.
Yeah.
But looking maybe at these questions, I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Well, I was just going to quickly talk about some drop candidates because there's a lot of players on this team that I would drop in just like, even if
Take
there's
flyers on somebody
undrafted,
else.
even if there's
Yeah.
undrafted free agents on your waiver wire that are in this rookie class, I'd probably prefer to pick those guys up. So
Yeah, I
some of
would
those
agree there.
names would be Mac Jones, DTR, Kenny McIntosh, Justin Ross, MVS. Like, I personally don't see a scenario in which I'm ever playing these guys. You know, what's funny is like all these names, except for Mac Jones, even if the guy ahead of them goes down, I don't think they're relevant. So that's why I think you can move on from them and just get some real young wild cards on the team. But
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I agree.
How big are your benches in this team? Because it's a 12-man league, start 9. You must have huge benches. So hold on. How many can you start? You said start 9.
Yeah, start 9. It looks like
So 1, 2,
you kind of broke it down
3,
in
4,
there. So 1 quarterback,
5, 6,
so
7,
2
8.
quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have a bench that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You have 24 bench spots. That is pretty deep, which means the waiver wire is probably useless in this league. You know, a lot of people don't like it that we say this, but we prefer a league that is anywhere from 12 to 15 bench spots at most. Any more than that, a huge part of the game, which is the waiver wire, completely is ruled out. You know,
Because the people that we were going to tell you to go out and try and pick up, they're probably already on somebody's squad. I think of Dylan Labe or
Blake Watson,
Malik Washington. You know, some of these guys that were probably undrafted in your rookie drafts are most likely off your waiver wires because of how deep your league is.
Yeah.
Which is
so first thing first.
It's just unlucky.
I would just, it's not the wrong. There's no wrong way to play this game, right? Whatever is fun for people, play it that way. But I would just tell the commissioner, like, hey, have you thought about limiting how deep our benches is? Because there's this big part of the game that we're not being able to experience, which is the waiver wire. Guess what? If you didn't pick up Kyron Williams last year off your waiver wire, it sucks. It sucks that, you know, in a lot of leagues he was available and you didn't pick him up. But the reality is that's a part of the game that should be available there for people to improve their teams. Like, think about Brock Purdy when he came out of nowhere. In this league, a 7th-round quarterback is probably already rostered. You're kind of like taking away this really exciting element where you can bid fab against people. You know, think about when Purdy was starting, when Jimmy G went down. In a lot of our leagues, he was bid on with fab. The people who went out there and spent all their fab on Purdy, when that happened in the league, people probably clown on them. What are you doing? It's a 7th-round quarterback. You just spent all of your fab on Purdy. And now they're probably clowning on the league. Like, it's just a really fun element that, unfortunately, in this type of league, you might not be able to experience. But just wanted to throw that in there. Let's move on to the team. Like you said, quarterback room is great. Wide receiver room is great. Running backs and tight ends is your weakest spot. But still, like, not a bad team at all. Like, this is a good team.
Yeah, this is a good team, and like I said, you had a couple questions here on the Discord that we can go through now. Now that we kind of saw this team, first question is it worth tearing down from Jalen Hurts to get an extra capital and players? This is what I would say. I'm happy to. What is that tear down? What does that tear down look like? What are the offers that you probably got in your inbox at the moment?
The tear down, like, as weird as it sounds, Jalen Hurts had a great year in fantasy last year, but now I personally don't think now is the right time to tear down because he is still going to be someone who's averaging, you know, well over 20, 21, 22 points per game. So last year was prime to tear down. Came off the Super Bowl run. Everyone was in love with him. Now there's like this weird, like, up and down kind of, some people like him, some people don't.
I think a lot of people don't like him because of the tush push, and at least the people like me that believe that he's not going to be getting the 15 rushing touchdowns because of Saquon
Sure.
Barkley. I think a lot of people are seeing that, but other people are saying, well, he's still going to be just as valuable because of the tush push.
So and the way I look at that is like, sure, he might not score like double digits, but he's probably at least scoring 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. So I actually think I was team sell Jalen Hurts last year, tear down from him, not sell him, just tear down from him and get a bunch in return. But I don't think you can get a Josh Allen package for Jalen Hurts, even though he's probably going to give you the same amount of points per game, and he's younger. So I don't think he is a tear down at this point, personally.
I would, and like I said earlier, I think if what the offers that come in for you, and if that is a good offer, and you have the fantasy hotline, Nate, you'll be able to utilize that. Like if you're telling me that there's Lamar Jackson plus a young wide receiver that you really like, and you're willing to take that, or a young running back that you really like, sure, let's have a conversation. But I will agree with Zach. That's not something that I'm forcing to do there.
Yeah.
Second, it says Mike Williams, wait until healthy and in season playing with Rodgers, trade, or doesn't seem like to have much value right now.
I'll be honest, I don't even know if you can get a 4th-round pick for him right now.
Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in Mike Williams, and the conversations around him as well is not looking too good about how they're going to ramp him up. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's some upside, but I would say that if you can get a 4th, I'm doing it. A 3rd, or swapping with something, I'm doing that. Third question here, it says Stafford, move or keep? I think it just depends on, once again, what you can get. I'm happy to keep Matthew Stafford. I would say this, in season, one of these top 10 quarterback goes down, Josh Allen misses some time, and that guy's making a run, and you have Matthew Stafford. Can you get a 2nd or 3rd out of that player? I'm happy to wait in season to see if one of these top tier quarterbacks go down, and then sell Matthew Stafford for as high as possible.
He's a stronghold for me for a couple reasons. Like, firstly, I do see a scenario personally. I know everyone sees the opposite, but from everything Stafford has said, he wants to keep playing. So I do see a scenario where he's like extended at some point, and his value could at minimum stay the same. And at the same time, you don't have a quarterback 3 behind him anyway. And I don't even know, like, the most you might get for him is a late 2nd.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even with that contract extension, let's say he gets a 2-year contract extension, that doesn't go up to a 1st. So if that contract extension does happen,
so if that were to happen, it would be this time next year. If he before the NFL draft, he would be extended. If that were to happen, you would go from like 210 value to like 203.
Yeah, and that I completely agree. That's what I'm saying. Maybe wait until the highest point and then sell. But if there's no conversation around it, I'm still happy to sell. If maybe, once again, if someone's willing to pay that price even before the contract extension because a quarterback went down, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. No player is like an absolute hold. There's not a single player in Dynasty, I would say, like that you can't sell. But it's all about, does the market tell you to sell? And right now, I don't think the market does. I mean, what is he on KTC right now?
Stafford. Let's see. Matthew Stafford, quarterback
27.
He's currently valued, according to this, as the 205 in the 2024 draft, which I don't think that's Ricky Pearsall, Keon Coleman, Michael Penix. I don't think anyone's trading that for Matthew Stafford right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's not even close. Yeah, but if you could get your hands on a Penix, I'd do that. A Knicks, I'd do that. But I just don't think those trades are happening.
I agree there. Is it worth trading Addison / JSN for a running back? I would say JSN is a strong hold for me. I'm happy to sell Addison. I've been a big believer in selling Addison this offseason. I would say it's probably not the right time anymore to sell Addison, as he is wide receiver 23 now. I was trying to tell you earlier.
Equivalent values on this website.
The point is keep trade cut right now. Some equivalent values is a Jonathan Brooks.
Okay, I do that.
A Kyron Williams. Yeah, I'm doing that as well. They said Kenneth Walker is in that range as well. Saquon is in that range.
That seems unrealistic to me. I don't think that's happening in leagues.
That does seem unrealistic, but I mean, those are I think, and once again, Jordan Addison, for me, I wouldn't be wanting to keep him for the Jordan. Like, I would rather have Jordan Brooks, like Jonathan Brooks, like
Same.
you said.
Yeah. Let's look at those teams then that have those players. Who has Jonathan Brooks, for example? This is why I wish we were on the Flock Fantasy site because we could just type it in. But
Jonathan Brooks, team 2, Massage My Watson. Jonathan Brooks, James Cook. He has a pretty decent, or not really.
He might actually be down because his wide receiver 4 is not strong at all.
Yeah, so I would get Jonathan Brooks. Yeah,
he can start James Cook and Joe Mixon. He still has Tajay. That's a good,
essentially
good reach out there.
What's that? 202. I mean, there's a time where Jonathan Brooks was going up, like in our leagues, he went at the 109. So if he went at the 109 in your league, Nate, and you can send Jordan Addison for Jonathan Brooks that potentially went the 109, sure. And if he went later than that, which is technically the 202, let's say like the latest we've seen to go at the 202, Jordan Addison is actually a higher value, but I would still have Jonathan Brooks personally higher.
And I do think, if you think about like rookie drafts that we've been in, Jonathan Brooks has gotten into the first round quite often, but also I think his ADP will still end up being like the 201. So
Brooks went the 111 in the rookie draft, which I think is a fair price right now. And
the first thing I would try is Jordan Addison in a third for Brooks in a second. If he says no to that, you could actually turn this into a third and turn this into a fourth.
Sure.
And if he says no to that, I would personally be willing to do the straight swap, considering in your league you can only start 4 running backs or 4 wide receivers anyway.
Yeah.
So with you only being able to start 4 wide receivers, you would still have JSN and Reed as your 4th option. Or sorry, you would have JSN and Reed.
And Reed, yeah.
Whoever you want to swap in and out.
Exactly. Exactly. So it just depends on the running back that you potentially get. But yes, I'm getting a Saquon, a Kyron, a Jonathan Brooks, a Kenneth Walker, all players along those lines there, to go out and maybe pivot off up there with Jordan Addison. And
yeah, all those other names like Kenneth Walker, Kyron, and Saquon, if you can somehow get those guys straight up for Addison in this format where you can only start 4 wide receivers, if you do that straight up somehow, then you just take that because the running back spot is more valuable in this league than in most leagues that we review.
Yeah, I agree there.
What was his next one?
Last one, it says, do I need a plan at backup tight end or just let it be? I think it's a good question because the tight ends, the depth here is not the best.
This is a team that probably could use an Ingram, for example.
I don't know if I'm necessarily like going out and straining for another tight end. Like,
I think if you get one of those running backs, I think you should. If you get a Jonathan Brooks, if you get a Saquon, if you get a Kyron, that triggers you to go out and get an Ingram because you are trying to actually win.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm happy to do that.
Still, Jake Ferguson, as good of a year he had last year, he might have an even better one this year because another year in the league, they didn't add anyone to compete with him for targets.
Literally no one.
Who's already been there, right? But like 10.4 points per game his first year as a starter. I mean, he could get up there like 11, 12 points per game. So, but I would say in this league, if I can send a 2nd round pick for Evan Ingram, I would do that. Because it's a smaller lineup with a super flex format.
Trying to see who has Evan Ingram and if they are in a position to do that.
Yeah, because he has Mark Andrews.
He has Mark Andrews, 100%. So that is definitely a good team to go out and try. I would also say,
but again, sorry, just before you go, we have to clarify. You only do this deal and grab an Ingram if you get a Brooks, Kyron, Saquon. Otherwise, you're just going to stick and hold it out.
Yeah, and I think if that also happens, and if you can't get an Ingram, I look at these these lower tier tight ends that aren't getting too much love. Dallas Goedert, Pat Frymuth, you can get it for pennies right now, it feels like.
Yeah, if you can get those guys for a third, you do that in a heartbeat.
For like Pat Frymuth, it may not seem exciting, but he was injured all last year. The quarterback position should be better, whether it was Justin Fields or, Russell Wilson. And then obviously Dallas Goedert, a lot of people are devaluing him because of the addition of Saquon and where he's going to be getting his targets. But another tight end that was injured in the middle of the season. And he was a top 8, top 6 tight end before his injury at the time as well. So I would be looking at those two guys just as, once again, lower tier tight ends to also add on to your team.
Yeah, you might have to add like a fourth or like some sort of pick swap in there, but that's the kind of vibes I'd say.
The vibes.
The vibes. But overall, like, I think you are in a position where patience, like we said, like, you can sell Addison, that's totally fine. You can get Ingram, that's great. I think you have a chance to get to the playoffs if you had like let's say you got Kyron. Well, Kyron, if Benson can get a role, and if Gibson can do something, then wait for those other running backs to kind of hit the ground in next year. But overall, I think this is a team that you can be relatively patient with. I wouldn't force any deals. I do think patience is not a bad idea because you still have your first next year. It should be a really good running back class. I mean, what happens if everyone on this team does what we want them to do, and then next year you get like a Ashton Genty in the first round, like a really good running back? That could kind of complete this team if Benson's a starter. Imagine this time next year, Jaden Daniels is a consensus top 8 quarterback if what he does on the ground is enticing. You got that combo of Hurts and Daniels, that's intense. Then you got Benson, who might be the starter next year. What happens with Josh Jacobs? You add a Genty, a Judkins, whoever. Then at wide receiver, you're still looking pretty set. So I think you can be patient with this team. You definitely don't need to blow anything up. And I don't think you need to tear down, but if someone's going to offer you like Kyler Murray in a first, I think I would do that. Like Kyler Murray in a projected early first, or you're telling me I can get Kyron Williams and like a Devonta Smith or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Kyler Murray and Devonta Smith. So yeah, but we want to make sure Nate has every opportunity to ask us any questions that he has. So let us know if there's any questions that you have that we haven't addressed yet. But I do think this team, because there's not many obvious like sell highs outside of Jalen Hurts, I do think patience might be your best friend.
Agreed. Be patient. See what happens in season. And a lot of these guys could definitely, like Zach said, pan out the way we want them to, or if not, then some other players, even if your whole team doesn't pan out, then you can sell high in season. So it's a lot of a wait and see approach and see where you can go first. But good luck. He said, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the support. And use that fancy hotline. That chat that you have with us, that's the fancy hotline. So if you do send out trade offers and you get some out in return and you're not necessarily sure, send that screenshot to our way and we'll definitely help you out. Okay, so definitely use that fancy hotline. But we appreciate you, man.
The last thing I would say is I'm going to release a video tomorrow, and I do talk about Jalen Waddle. If your league values Jalen Waddle the way that a lot of websites are, then you could tear down from Waddle. So watch that video tomorrow when it comes out, because currently Waddle is valued as a wide receiver 10 on KTC. If you can downgrade to, there's probably like 7 names that I bring on that video and get something in return, I think that's worth it. But outside of that, like we said, patience might be your best friend. But all right, guys, we were able to review Nate's team there. That was awesome. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you supporting the show. If you're out there watching this and you're saying, wait, why is Nate get to have his team reviewed? Well, it's very simple. Nate signed up to the Flock Fantasy website to become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LANT. So if you want your team reviewed by us on a live stream, very simple. Become a Mother Flocker member. Use the code LAND. There's a direct link in the chat. If you're watching this later, it will be in the pinned comment. It's also in the description for you. But when you sign up, just a couple words of advice. Obviously, you get our articles, databases, rankings, trade calculator, the My Teams feature. When you sign up, I would suggest clicking the yearly option, only because you get an automatic voucher to submit a team through the My Teams feature. If you choose the monthly option, you'll just have to DM us on Discord in order for us to help you out there. So we appreciate y'all big time. We did get a super chat from Hannah, who has been very patient.
Thank you so much, Anna. So what would you add to go from Olave to Marvin Harrison Jr. in 10-man super flex half PPR here? In a half PPR league, you know,
Whew, that's a tough one.
I'm not a big Olave believer. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I love the talent, hate the situation, and I don't see him having a massive bounce back year as a lot of people are believing him to. I think there is conversation for him, but I'm trying to think. Like, I don't think someone is gonna accept Chris Olave in a second, or Chris Olave for
So
like. I don't think anyone will do that
you
off
and
the rip, but
I,
like off the top of my head.
I'm not as off Olave as you are. I don't see him losing a ton of value this time next year. I am intrigued to see what the coaching change does.
Yeah, the
He's
offensive
someone
coordinator.
he's someone I would tear down from for sure, but he's not someone I'm like desperately trying to move. But paying a first and Olave for Marvin is too much. But
Yeah,
paying a second and Olave for Marvin is probably not enough.
it's not enough. Yeah,
So
exactly. So
I would only do this if you're confident you're going to win right now, but like a first and second swap. So if you send them your first, you get their second. Again, I would only do that if they're a team that's not very good, and if you think you'll be very good. That's still very risky. Alternatively, what you could do is you could offer them Olave 2 seconds, and you get back Marvin in a third.
third, yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think it gets done a different way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think just it has to be some sort of concoction of multiple picks on both sides, or a pick on both sides,
Or
rather than just being Olave in a second.
the other option is that you tier down in a different position. So you're tiering up at Marvin and you're tiering down in a different position. So for example, let's say you have a Saquon Barkley, okay, as an example. So you give them Saquon and Olave, they give you Marvin and I don't know, DeAndre Swift, Zamir White, Derrick Henry, you know. Like that's the other way you can go around it. Basically, finding a happy medium between them tearing up at running back, you tearing up at wide receiver. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but it will be difficult because Olave has lost that love that he had after his rookie season, and everyone is obsessed with Marvin. So I wouldn't pay Olave in a first.
I wouldn't either. As much as I don't believe in Olave, I still wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Because I believe in his talent. I just, once again, hate the situation. But hopefully that helps, Anna. We appreciate you and thank you for the super chat.
Yes. Hopefully that does help.
Yeah, hopefully that does help.
We do appreciate you big time. Again, guys, thank you for the love on today's stream. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all the likes. You guys have been really, really awesome. You know, a very, very important update for you guys. You might be noticing that we're not posting as much on the Dynasty channel. At no point during the season does the Dynasty channel go away, but at some point we do start to put more of our efforts into our redraft channel. Yes. And if you don't know, we do have a redraft channel. I just put a direct link in the chat for you guys to check it out. Go subscribe over there. But we are pumping out content. You can see we've got rookie league winners, players to avoid in drafts. If you're playing underdog right now, if you're going to play in a sleeper home league. This video was cool. We went through round 1 and went through all my projections for the top 12 players. We got running back rankings. Badaki brought out must draft sleepers. Previously, I had a couple players that I was drafting everywhere, talking about Deontay Johnson, how much I love him this year. We do live streams on this channel as well during the fantasy season. So even if you only play Dynasty, but you have questions on who you want to start and who you want to sit, go subscribe over there, because we will be live like 4 to 5 times a week during the season on this channel, on the redraft channel. Answering people's questions. So make sure you go subscribe over there. And then also, again, even if you only play Dynasty, every week we're going through each matchup for running backs, for wide receivers, telling you who you can start confidently, who you should sit based off the matchup, based off the defense that they're facing, stash players, waiver wire, all that. So Again, go subscribe over to our redraft channel. I'll put the link in the chat one more time. Show that channel some love. It always takes a while for that channel to kind of get off the ground because, you know, not everybody is redraft. A lot of people play Dynasty, but obviously that channel does its thing during the season. So do us a favor. Go show some love over to that channel. It would be awesome if we could hit 20K on that channel this year. That would be insane. But show some love over there. We'll be live tomorrow night as well over on that channel doing a mock draft if you want to get some practice in. So we appreciate you big time. But that is it for today. Again, hit the like button on the way out. Go subscribe to the redraft channel. If you want your team reviewed, check out the description. Check out those comments we put. And we'll see you guys soon. All love.
Love.